Hello and welcome. Mercury retrograde. It's that time of the year where Mercury is going to go retrograde. Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th of March until the 7th of April, and Mercury will retrograde in two signs, Aries and Pisces. Now, I do have a guidebook. It will be in the description box down below, how to navigate Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde in all 12 signs, how to handle it, how to navigate it, and themes of each Mercury retrograde, as well as the Mercury retrograde dates for 2025 and 2026. However, you can use this guide throughout life. You would just have to keep checking in as to when Mercury is going retrograde, especially if you are a Gemini or a Virgo. However, this is for everyone. So this year, Mercury is going to retrograde in two signs. Now we're going to discuss the general theme of Mercury retrograde, and then we're going to discuss Mercury retrograde in Aries, Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and then we're going to discuss how Mercury retrograde in these signs will influence you for your sun, moon, and rising. So do watch the intro because this is so important for understanding this period in time. Mercury retrograde. Mercury is to do with our intellect, it's our mind, our communication. It is also to do with short distance trips, travels, vehicles, and it has to do with technology as well. So during Mercury retrograde, we can notice people from the past re-enter our lives. So why does that happen? From Earth's perspective, it's an optical illusion that Mercury is moving backwards within the sky. So it's not really, it's just an optical illusion. Given that Mercury is a planet of communication, negotiation, intellect, our mind, short distance trips, travel, and it rules over technology, we can notice when Mercury is retrograde that we deal with people from the past coming back into our lives, especially exes, because it brings back people we've communicated with. It also is a time where we can deal with more tensions, confusion, and conflicts within a relationship. And also people tend to be more honest during this time. This is because we are all feeling under a mental fog when Mercury is retrograde. It's almost like our mind is switched off and our feelings are out there. So we tend to express ourselves. You know, the things that we suppressed all of a sudden comes up. It's not only a time that does that, it is a time where truths become revealed, because during Mercury retrograde, it's a more intuitive time. It's almost like our intellect is kind of now operating behind the scenes, and now our intuition is guiding us towards the truth, and people also under this mental fog, so they do tend to tell on themselves. I've had some very interesting situations with Mercury retrograde where people were either seeking information about someone who was not honest with them or wanting to know clarity on that. Mercury retrograde, anything that you've done previously comes back around. So if you've acted in secret, it can come to light during Mercury retrograde, as well as anyone else. Technology glitches. Do back up all information, anything that you are saving or putting onto, that you need to save and you're putting it on your computer. Make sure that you save all documents. And when it comes to technology glitches, sometimes there are some things outside of our control. So like, you're going to have things like your washing machine break down, or anything electrical become faulty or malfunction. During Mercury retrograde, not the best time to purchase anything to do with electronics, right? As well as, and also just in general. And when it comes, because you aren't mentally clear, when it comes to contracts, make sure you check and double check everything before you sign them. Think of yourself as under a mental fog. So now you're signing a lease and you're thinking you're getting this, but you're not getting what you expect to get. This has happened to me. So I am very aware of this. Has happened to me back in 2018. And I was signing a lease and I thought I was getting, this place that would be so great. It was so spacious and so forth. And when I signed the lease, I turned out that the landlord had all of his stuff still occupying the place in certain places, which she said she would remove, but it got delayed. Delays happen during Mercury retrograde. Understand that. So thankfully I got out of that lease because of lack of clarity. So make sure that you check and double check everything. Make sure that you read and reread everything. Make sure that you understand that delays happen. So give yourself enough time when traveling or needing to get to a certain place. This is because of traffic on the roads. There can be more traffic. There can be, things on the road outside of your control, and things tend to slow down a lot during Mercury retrograde. Patience is key. Trust your intuition. Vivid dreams do occur. Your intuition is always going to be what leads you when Mercury is retrograde. Now, when it comes to conflicts, make sure that you handle this with care. If it's a misunderstanding, try to work it out. Sometimes we say things that we didn't necessarily want the other person to know. Sometimes we think things, but now we are thinking things with this mental fog. So what happens is we can't filter our thoughts, right? It's like we have no filter. So be aware of that. And apologize if you're in the wrong and you've expressed yourself in haste or impulsively or without thinking things through, and make sure that you can make these things work for the betterment. This is an important time because a lot of people go through breakups, separations during Mercury retrograde, and if it can be avoided over something that is small, why not? However, truth does get revealed, so you do get the clarity on your relationship and your stance in the relationship. Now we're going to get into Mercury retrograde in Aries and Pisces and the dates as well. And the dates will be down in the description, as well as the pre and post shadow period. What can we expect with Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries? Now Mercury will retrograde from the 15th of March until the 7th of April. However, the first part of the retrograde, which is from the 15th of March until the 29th, will be in the sign of Aries. Now Aries is a sign of impulsivity. Now Mercury has to do with us being under this mental fog. That's why it can be so exhausting and draining during Mercury retrograde, because we can feel so tired because we mentally just do not have the capacity. Now Aries is the sign of passion, impulsivity, it's ideas, it's our goals, it's our sense of self. Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Now this is important because Mars is a planet known as a god of war. That's what it is in mythology. So we become more verbally aggressive. And this can be quite heated arguments, heated debates, my point of view, not seeing the other person's point of view. Aries is about self. So this is where we are now speaking our point of view or speaking over others. Others could be speaking over you, wanting to just verbally, give you the fire. This is fiery energy, and we're more passionate in terms of what we've been holding back. So think of it like we've had a time of repressed anger and a lot of repressed feelings. And now all of a sudden, these feelings want to be unleashed. They want to be verbalized. And watch out for impulsive actions. This is important because Aries, ruled by Mars, is a plan of action. It's a plan of motivation. It's a plan of getting things done. It's a plan of intimacy, physical intimacy. So we can expect a lot of tensions in our physical intimate relationships. This is where you could find out things about your physical intimate relationships, even information if the other person's seeing someone else. All of those things come to light. Not only just that, there could also be, maybe even tensions over intimacy, right? About how frequent we've been intimate. All of those things become very prevalent, as well as because it rules over our motivation. Mars and Aries particularly is about how we get up in the morning. We will feel exhausted. It rules our physical sense of self because Aries is us. So we could feel like we're just lacking the motivation to get out of bed. We're lacking the motivation for our lives, our trajectory, the way forward. How do we remedy this? We take it easy and take it one step at a time, and we find what we are truly passionate about, because what truly fuels you will give you the burn and the energy to go forward. We could also suffer with headaches during this time because Aries rules the head. So you must think of your head feeling just so foggy, and if you're feeling overwhelmed by work and just life, because Aries is our sense of self, so it's everything around us, our goals, our ambitions, the things we want to start. we can feel so like, oh, my head is just aching from all of this. Do take care of your physical well-being. Now, when Mercury is retrograde in Aries, it can bring back old arguments, old issues, old fights. They can come back. And we're really wanting to stand our business. I really feel with this Mercury retrograde in Aries, there's a need to stand on business. There's a need to set boundaries. Aries, ruled by Mars, the god of war, once again, is a soldier. Soldiers fight battles. So we're really willing to fight and also have boundaries. Being that it's Mars, it is where we have boundaries, where we are saying, I'm not willing to put up with this anymore. Impulsively making decisions, speeding. Accidents can happen during this time particularly, and you could injure yourself because Mars rules blood. So you could injure yourself in either physically, hopefully there's nothing like blood, but it can be also a physical injury due to impulsivity, impulsive movement, not thinking clearly, and impulsive movement. So watch whilst driving as well. This is so important. Vehicles, during Mercury retrograde, vehicles tend to break down. Accidents tend to happen. So take it slow and easy and make sure that you are not rushing through things, because we are going to want to rush. Mercury is in Aries, but it's retrograde. So slowing down is the key to this Mercury retrograde. Following through on old passionate projects, so important. Anything that you started before, you can previously complete during this time. Anything you initiated before, you can previously complete. This is also a great time to look at goals, actions that you wanted to follow through on and couldn't. You can now start them and follow through. You can complete things. Okay, if you started something before the Mercury retrograde, because when we're dealing with Aries, we're dealing with initiation, we can definitely follow through. Do look at where Mars is in your natal chart, because this Mercury retrograde is ruled by Mars. So where Mars is placed within your natal chart will have an influence over you, the sign, the house. It will be important. Now, as well during this time, watch out for the relationships, because the opposite sign is Libra. Aries is South, Libra is the opposite sign. So we could see a lot of tensions within relationships, a lot of conflicts, resentments, things that were done in the past now come back. Things that you did impulsively in the past could also come back to you now to review them. As well as people, like I said, during this part of the Mercury retrograde, have a lot of tension that they want to unleash. People could just see people's faces and want to unleash this tension, because Aries is the sense of self and what we feel we need to defend, what we feel we need to fight for. Okay, Mercury retrograde. Okay, so now we know that Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 15th of March until 7th of April. However, Mercury will retrograde in the sign of Pisces from the 29th of March until the 7th of April, when it will go direct. Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Okay, Mercury don't like to be in Pisces for the reason that Mercury is in its fall position. Mercury is in its strength and exalted in the sign of Virgo, and Virgo deals with day-to-day life, practicality, our routine, getting things done. Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces in its fall position is a hard Mercury retrograde, because now we want to sleep, because Pisces is our subconscious. It's where we rest. It's where we close our eyes and go to sleep. So given that being said, this would be a rather exhausting part of the Mercury retrograde. Now, if you're traveling over water, because like I said, Mercury rules travel and retrograde, especially boats, anything over the water, be aware of that, because there could be situations that arise on the ocean because of Mercury being in Pisces, and Pisces rules over the ocean, like misdirection, so forth. Things get delayed. Trying to take your boat, it'll get delayed, especially if you're going on a cruise or anything like that. This is where you can see that, or things are not what you expected it to be. So watch out for that. And Mercury retrograde in Pisces is really important for us to notice and just be aware of it, especially at sea. That would be the lack of navigation at sea or confusion while navigating at sea. And Pisces also sometimes rules over, not sometimes, rules over storms. So be aware of that. Given Pisces energy, we are confused more because Mercury don't like to be at its fourth position. Misunderstandings can happen. Things from the long ago past. Think years ago, yonks ago, or something like, think even like 5 years ago. Pisces rules the past, but not just the past like now. And Mercury's retrograde, that's the past. It takes us into the past. People from the past can re-enter our lives, people that we haven't seen in a long time, as well as situations from the past that we thought we covered come back around for us to review them. So we have to reassess them, rework with them, gain some form of closure and completion to them. Mercury retrograde in Pisces, I've experienced this as a Pisces rising, and I would say this happened in 2020, where there was a bill that I unexpectedly received that wasn't from now. It was from like 5 years ago. So I want you to keep that in mind, that Pisces has this energy of bringing up things that we thought we've dealt with, or something that we thought was complete. It now needs to be reworked, and it might take a bit longer because Pisces is time. Things slow down a lot in Pisces because it's the last zodiac, so it's the ending, so it takes a bit longer. This could also feel like a very drawn out part of the Mercury retrograde. Victimization, the blame game. Because Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, everybody's going to feel victimized and blamed, and we are going to talk about and express ourselves from the victim point of view. So you will hear a lot of people turning towards them being the victim, them being, the victim, and blaming someone else. And you could even maybe feel like doing this yourself. Pisces is where we sacrifice ourselves. We become the martyr. We sacrifice ourselves for others, for their happiness, for their need. Pisces is that energy where there is some form of sacrifice of self for other people, for the surrounding, for the collective, whatever it may be. You'll be very aware of where you've been sacrificing yourself in your relationships. And this is where you're not meant to get into the victimhood or the blaming of other people. Be aware of it, where you've sacrificed, and try to now readjust it going forward, where you are not sacrificing yourself so much. This is where people can also tend to want to complain a lot, because Pisces is the magic in life, right? Pisces is, what we see, because it's ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. It's expansion, it's wisdom, it's prosperity, it's Neptune. We can start feeling the need to complain, or others might be complaining as well. This is due to Mercury being retrograde. So now we are now seeing the world through a different lens. Truth will be revealed, especially in this Mercury retrograde. Things have been kept hidden enemies. Pisces rules all over that. The subconscious, the things that are hidden enemies, things said in secret, things said behind your back, all come to the surface where Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Pisces. We are deeply emotional, we are weepy, we are crying, we are feeling our feelings in the deepest way. And if you're not a person who cries and responds with anger, you're going to feel that as well. You're going to feel that intensity of emotions build up, because Pisces is emotions, and whichever emotion that you feel whenever you are rubbed the wrong way will be explored. Pisces is about hurt feelings. The things that people say now could hurt your feelings. We are more sensitive. We are more easily hurt during this time. Our emotions are all out there, And also with Pisces, it is the energy of solitude and time out. This is where you can feel abandoned, abandoned by others, left to your own devices. Think of yourself as a castaway. When we're dealing with Pisces energy, it is the ocean, the vast ocean, and you're this person that's stranded now at sea, and you could feel very abandoned. What can we do during Mercury retrograde in Pisces? Tap into your spirituality, meditate, trust your intuition. Spend time by yourself. As much as you might feel abandoned, it's encouraged, because that is when you can foster and gain a relationship with your sense of self. Pisces is healing. This is where we are seeking healing physical, mental, emotional. Make sure you go for all your health checks. Make sure that you check everything and you take care of your body and your mind and your spiritual self. This is deeply healing. This is a great time for meditation, for smoke cleansing your space, or even smudge spraying your space. The things that you can do to purify your space will be so good for you. Okay, so now we're going to get into all the signs. Aries Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, Mercury retrograde in Aries. This is where people are, you feel like people are coming at you. Right? They're coming at you. They want to rub you the wrong way. They want to irritate you. They want to annoy you. They're seeking a reaction. This is a time where you're more prone to react more. This is where you come into question. People will question you. And it doesn't have to be romantically. It doesn't have to be in any sense. It's everyone, because this is your sense of self. This is where you are coming into question. People are either taking you the wrong way, not understanding you, misunderstanding you. People might even say that you're hell of aggressive. People are going to come at you at this time. So it's so important to have those boundaries, reassess your past actions. Do not act impulsively. This is where exes can come back into your life because it is your sense of self. Exes can come back into your life. You could notice challenges within your goals, your ambitions, your sense of self, and your life's direction. You could have a lot of, just tension within your body, and you're really needing to rest and rejuvenate. This is not the time to sign any contracts, get into any deals. If anyone, that's like a scammer comes to you with some sweet deal, just make sure that you reread it. Don't just get into it, because this is where people are coming to you, because Mercury is retrograde in you, and this is where they're showing themselves. You could get truths about relationships, people, things that were kept hidden from you, because this revolves around you, and Mercury is retrograde in your sign, so it wants to give you the information that others have been trying to keep hidden from you. When Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Pisces, right, from the 29th of March until the 7th of April, this is when you are noticing that you are deeply emotional, sensitive, you're needing rest, rejuvenation, time alone at home. You could be thinking about the long-term past, like things have happened like long ago. You could also be reminiscing a lot about the past. People that you haven't seen can come back into your life. You're needing some isolation and time out. You could also feel deeply abandoned. This is where you're feeling your deepest emotions. You're releasing. Get into creativity. Journal. Paint something. Use your creative energy to help you through this part of the Mercury retrograde. This Mercury retrograde part can also make you feel very sensitive, very deeply emotional. It's like the first part when Mercury's retrograde in Aries, you still have this confidence, you still have this strength, and then you have hit with all these tense situations around you, conflicts, heated words, arguments, delays, frustrations, all of the above, and you are now feeling like, oh my goodness, now I'm just completely drained by everything. So during the entire Mercury retrograde, take your time, be patient with yourself, reassess things, and try not to let things get to you too deeply. This is just people now in their state of dealing with their issues. So focus on you. When Mercury is retrograde in Aries, focus on you as much as you can. Look at the things you've done in the past, reevaluate yourself. And when Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, get that sweet rest, because you are completely exhausted. And there's lots of things that you're ending when Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, from relationships, from situations, from people, from contracts. You're walking away. You are ending and closing doors. You are reassessing even situations you have put an end to, and how do you feel about it? And you could be feeling deeply sensitive and emotional, either weepy or angry, right? We all express our sadness in different ways. Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries, okay? From the 15th of March until the 29th of March, you are dealing with needing some rest, rejuvenation. You are mentally overwhelmed and exhausted. Old heated arguments that you thought you put to bed can now resurface. This could also be a time where you need to look back and look at your impulsive choices and decisions, where you've acted on impulse. This could also bring up old memories to the surface. Things that basically held you back in your life. This is seeking to be released and to be healed in some way. This is a great time for you to spend some time in isolation, and do not act out. This is where maybe situations have been rubbing you the wrong way, and now you can lash out as well, especially if you've been holding on to it for a very long time. So watch for that. When Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Pisces from the 29th of March until 7th of April, now you are dealing with the people that you collaborate with, your teams, your networks, your social circles. It can be any social circle that you are particularly involved in, and there's conflicts, there's tensions within the social circles. There could be, hurt feelings, hurt emotions, friendships. You could see this predominantly, but you can see it anywhere from, like, if you have a work group that you have, that you work together as a team, a family group. The moment you're in a group setting, this plays out where there's a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings, and things from the past now come back to be resurfaced, to be re-looked at. Mercury retrograde here for you is asking you to rest, rejuvenate. You need time out as well from your the people that you socialize with. You'll be even asking yourself if you want to make some social changes within your life, as it's so draining and tiring. You'll also be questioning your future vision and dreams, looking at it, looking at the vision of it. If there's anything that you wanted to do previously, a goal that you had that you let it slide, you're now re-looking at it, you're revisiting this energy. You are also, at this time, focusing a lot on, like, how do you lead? Because this is also a sense of leadership, and you'll be also coming to question for your leadership style and skills. And this is also you feeling like, looking back and asking yourself, as a leader, where have you acted impulsively in any circumstance that you are leading within your life? This is if you're the leader at home, maybe you're the breadwinner, or maybe it is at work, right? You're leading a team. This is where your leadership also comes into review, and you're asked to review how you're leading. If you've acted impulsively previously, you can come back. You could have miscommunication within your teams. Technology glitches and situations happen at this time. Slow communication within groups, slow communication within your social circle. So if you're waiting back from something from an organization or a group of people, this can also be slowed down. So give yourself a bit of space. This is just the Mercury retrograde. Great for revisiting, like, old dreams, wishes that you had. This is great for friends that you haven't seen in a while coming back into your life, maybe inspiring you in some way of how you can go forward into your future. Gemini Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is where you're going to notice gossip, miscommunication, things that have been angry, like anyone in your group setting that's been angry now comes back to light. Like, maybe in your friend circle, they were upset with you for doing something previously, it comes back. Maybe in the team that you work with at work, comes back, something that pissed them off a long time ago. These are things that come back into light. Any, irritation, aggravation, frustration that people have had come back, especially within your social dynamics. And now's the time for you to just, take it easy. You might even play mediator to conflicts within groups. This is what's asking you to mediate in some way. You could also revisit, dreams or goals you've had in the past, pick it up now. You could also be questioning your vision and goal that you have for your future. This is a time where you are dealing with those social dynamics and the miscommunication, the misunderstandings, and the conflicts that arise from socializing. And you are a Gemini. So Gemini, this Mercury retrograde is important to you because Mercury is your ruler. So every retrograde is important to you. If you'd like to get my guidebook, it's linked down below, as well as a link to readings. So this Mercury retrograde is intense for you because it's really bringing up heated arguments. You could just notice friends arguing. People want to argue within your friend group. Things that you've said, come back now. This is, and oh, they just heard that you were angry about this years ago, or like a few days ago, maybe a month or two, and now they want to bring it back. Stuff like that. Then when Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Pisces from the 29th of March until 7th of April, this is going to influence your career, your goals, your reputation. Reputation comes into question. People are re-looking at you, reviewing you. You could even feel like people are coming down hard on you. People might be questioning the way you handle your responsibilities, how you handle your life. If you have an apparent authority figure, as in terms of an employer or anyone who sees themselves as an authority over you, this could be a partner or spouse. Some people do see that, like, they have the way, they have the right to tell us the way we should navigate things. This is that authority figure. And you could be coming into like, you know what, you're not handling things correctly. Tensions and conflicts with your workplace can come to light. Career, this is challenging for your career. You're going to notice that you might even be reminiscent about an old job that you had. Seriously, you might be thinking to where you were working or what you were doing. You might even go back to an old job. You might go back to an old responsibility that you were previously doing. Like, you know, maybe it was your job to pay for utilities at home and now you're picking that up again. This is going to make you reminisce a lot in the past. If when it comes to parents, right? Especially for those who've lost loved ones that are parents, you would be reminiscing over your parents. You'd be reminiscing over past memories with your parents. But like I said, there's also a lot of tension from your parents. If you have parents, authority figures, people that are older than you, they can come down on you. This is where your employer can come down on you. This is this is the area of life that rules over governments, institutions. You could even get, you know, something come to you about something dealing with government matters that is now you need to deal with. So there's a lot of tension on you this part. This is like the stressful part of the Mercury retrograde for you compared to previously. This is the heightened point of it, and this is where, like I said, people question your reputation, how you're handling your responsibilities, how you're carrying yourself. All of those things come into question. Take it easy. You can complete any goals that you've had previously. You can revisit yourself when it comes to how you lead and how you want to lead going forward. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, Mercury retrograde for you. Now, the first part of the Mercury retrograde in Aries from the 15th of March until 29th, this is going to influence your career, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, your legacy, reputation. People are going to question how you're taking care of your responsibilities, how you're taking care of your actions, the things that you need to do. This is also because Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Aries. This is where authority wants to come down hard on you, aggressive in their tone, maybe even rude in their tone. And authorities can be parents, it can be from parents, employers, or anyone who sees themselves as a sense of authority over you. This is where you feel the heat, like you under fire at this time. This is where there can be tensions at your career. You could even find that the career that you're doing, you're no longer doing. The contract comes to an end. This provides a lot of stress for you. You will be maybe meeting old colleagues that you previously worked with. They can come back into your life. This is where if you've had goals previously that you're working on, you can redo them, revisit them. It's time to follow through on old passions when it comes to your career, your creativity, and how you project yourself out into the world. Like I said, this is your reputation, and this is where people can come down on you for like how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself, your sense of leadership. Are you leading well, or do they feel that you're not leading well? And this leadership can be in any area. So if you're a mom and you're staying at home and you're running the house, this is where your leadership comes into question. So this is how you handle things, and people are feeling this need to point out where you're not handling things, where you're not carrying yourself in the accordance that they thought that you should, hold yourself up to. And you could find this the most stressful part of the Mercury retrograde. And if you need to sign any contracts when it comes to career at this time, read and reread before you sign. Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces from the 29th of March until 7th of April. This is about anything that you've been studying previously in terms of education. You can go back to it, right? If there's something that you've been studying previously, you can go back to it, like re-pick it up. This is also maybe even a book. If there's a book that you haven't finished, now you go back and you want to complete it. This is also a time where you might read an old book that you basically put down and like had a good time reading it and you want to revisit it. This is really great for expansion and growth. You'll be questioning your belief systems, the beliefs that you hold about yourself and the world around you. This is also, if you are traveling at this time, make sure that you check everything involving travel, because it's about travel. So make sure that you check everything, how everything is working, make sure it's optimal, make sure that you give yourself enough time to get to places or you will be delayed. So give yourself that, check your vehicle, check everything that you need to check to make sure that you're optimizing this energy. What I can say, you could also meet up with old school friends, people that you studied with at a certain campus. You could bump into them. You could also meet anyone that you probably traveled with previously. You could just meet them again. This is also a time where it's a very spiritual time for you. So you could pick up spiritual practices that you're previously doing. You can now think about, how can I relook at this, review this? What can I expand upon? This part of the Mercury retrograde is all about your expansion and growth, and really looking at how you're expanding and growing within your life. Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising. Leo, this is the first part of the retrograde can have you feeling quite fiery. You are a fire sign, and Mercury's retrograding in a fellow fire sign. So you are feeling like, woo, I'm quite passionate, I'm quite fiery. Do not act impulsively. I do have a guidebook down below if you'd like to know how Mercury retrograde in every single sign is there, as well as Mercury retrograde in 2025 and in 2026, giving you this understanding of Mercury retrograde and how to work with the energy. Do not act impulsively. This is where you could be questioning your growth at this time in your life. You could be feeling stuck, stagnant, like I'm not growing, I'm not expanding. And you're asked to revisit old thoughts of theory. Pick up a book that's inspiring that you once read. Watch a movie that you once watched that was inspiring. You need to inspire yourself, because you could be feeling like you lack that confidence, like you lack that fire, you lack that fuel. So revisit that, because you're feeling kind of stuck, you know. You might be asking yourself, why do I feel like things are progressing so slowly in my life? That is what you'll be dealing with. If you need to travel, make sure that you check everything, especially long distance trips, whether you're taking a plane, but however, check everything whilst traveling, because it does influence your travel. And anyone that you studied with previously, at a campus setting or a college setting, or you could now re-meet them. Like they'll come back into your life. Or even a teacher that you haven't seen for a long time, whether it's a spiritual teacher, a college teacher, they can come back into your life. Mercury retrograde in Pisces. This is finances. So you got to review your finances, debts, loans, taxes, things you thought you paid now can come back that you haven't paid. You need to review this, review your spending, your money. Do not sign any financial contracts at this time. Business deals, make sure that you're not dealing with anyone unscrupulous or a scammer, because this influences your money. When it comes to intimate matters, secrets can come to light about those that you're intimate with. It's not just physical intimacy, but emotional intimacy as well. So anyone you shared secrets with, maybe they share them at this time with someone else, and you find out, or something that someone's kept hidden from you can come to light. This is a time of emotional vulnerability. You might even be revisiting past pain, past trauma, memories stored within your psyche that are psychologically holding you back from the success you want in your life. You're now revisiting that. You're also revisiting power plays, power dynamics, where you've been manipulated, played, taken for a fool in the past. That can come back. If you're dealing with someone who has done that to you in the past and they're still in your life, time to cut them out. It's for boundaries. This is where you're needing the most boundaries, because you're exhausted. Because this is where people drain us emotionally, through manipulation, through energetically just taking from our energy. So ask yourself, where do you need to draw the line with how much you give to others? You're a very generous sign, especially for those that you care about. But now you need to know, where is your generosity being taken advantage of, and you're being manipulated to do things. Manipulation will be a big theme, and you'll be noticing previously you've been manipulated. Now you might see it re-come up, like with someone else. This is triggering an old wound for releasing and healing. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I do have a guidebook down below for Mercury retrograde, every single Mercury retrograde from Aries to Pisces, right? And everything in between, and how it will influence you. So that guidebook is to help you through. And I say this to you particularly because you are ruled by Mercury, and Mercury goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. So you deal with the energies of Mercury retrograde in a very intense fashion. So that is down below. And if you'd like a Mercury retrograde reading to see how Mercury retrograde influences your chart, that will also be linked down below. So now let's talk about this Mercury retrograde. This one's coming with intensity for you. It's going to deal with your relationships, right? It's going to deal with your relationships. So it's coming in with intensity from the get-go. You're going to feel it. And this Mercury retrograde, importantly for you, is telling you to review your relationships. There is a solar eclipse in Aries happening towards the latter part, 29th of March, right? And this is about you. and your intimacy and your vulnerability and your finances. Virgo Sun, Moon, Rising, finances come to light. So any power struggles about money matters, whether it is a business partner, work situation, even a romantic partner comes up. This is really sensitive for you. Boundaries, manipulation. Anyone who's lied, deceived you, tried to manipulate you, tried to utilize power over you, all comes to light at this time. You'll be very aware of it when they've previously done it and now. You'll also be triggered by something that happens now, about something relating to your past in terms of power plays and power dynamics. This deals with your psychology. You could be feeling highly sad, highly emotional, because it is dealing with past pain, past trauma, and past anger. Where have you held back your angry feelings? Because that all wants to come up because it's buried within your psyche. This is where you're keeping anger unresolved, where you're keeping, those things that are unhealthy for you. You need to set those boundaries and cut the cords and let go of any situation that is dominating you in this way. Look at your finances. All bills, financial matters can come to light. Something you thought you paid now comes back. Review any financial documents and do not get into business with anyone randomly at this time. If there's something you started previously in terms of business, you can go forward with it, like before the retrograde, way before. However, review everything. Now, on the 29th of March, we're going to have Mercury enter into sign of Pisces until the 7th of April. And this is going to influence your one-on-one relationships, but personally and professionally. Miscommunication, misunderstandings, secrets come to light here. This is where we find out. There's also the area of hidden enemies. We'll be very aware, or not hidden enemies, open enemies, open enemies. This is where we're very aware of open enemies at this time and who's been taking advantage of the situation. This leaves you feeling emotional, sensitive, abandoned in terms of your relationships. You'll be questioning the stability of your relationships, personal and professional. It is a time where you'll be considering even closing doors on certain relationships, especially if it's been an issue that has been reoccurring. The South Node's in Virgo, Mercury Retrograde in Pisces. This is you showing where sometimes Virgo can get so stuck on a routine, even in a relationship or in a job or anywhere, a friend, whatever it may be, that they find hard to break the cycle. This is asking you to break the cycle of misuse of power within these relationships. This can create a lot of tension within the relationships. This is a tense time for you, especially. You're going to need to set healthy boundaries, communicate clearly when it comes to relationships that are on stable ground, so you do not have these conflicts arising. Sun, Moon, Rising, Libra. Mercury Retrograde, okay? And it starts on the 15th of March until the 7th of April. Now, the first part of the Mercury Retrograde until the 29th will be in the sign of Aries, your one-on-one relationships. And Aries, conflicts, tensions. This is impulsivity within relationships. Do not get into a relationship too quickly. Exes can come back into your life. People that you previously dated, even people you previously worked with, because this is your personal and professional relationships. Tensions, you might be reminiscing and thinking about an ex more than ever. Exes, just give yourself a break, Libra. It's been the first part of the year has been testing you, but give yourself a break. This is not the time to act impulsively in relationships, to speak out, this is where you can hide your feelings and now you're just letting it out all of a sudden. You're hiding your feelings and now you let it out, and probably in a passive aggressive way. Your relationships, both personal and professional, can be rather aggressive at this time. Healthy boundaries is a must. You're going to notice the most tension within relationships. Contracts and deals. Make sure you read everything very clearly. You might even find out things about relationships you thought that were very close to you now come to light. So read everything in terms of contracts and deals so that you make sure you sign the right thing. If you can hold off on it, try to. Mercury Retrograde in Pisces, 29th of March until the 7th of April. This is going to be influencing your health and wellness, right? Your day-to-day routine, your work and co-workers. You could notice tensions, conflicts, miscommunication when it comes to co-workers. You could be re-questioning your work life, your job, your routine. You might even need to decide, like, you know, hey, I had a routine before, you might readopt it. You could also go back to an old health plan that you had. When it comes to conflict within the workplace, healthy boundaries is a must. Tensions here will arise. So workplace, co-workers, people in your day-to-day life too, because this is the area of life that rules over the day-to-day life. So it's how we are, you know, moving through the day-to-day life. So you could also find tensions in your day-to-day life in general. When it comes to planning, productivity, you will notice delays. Give yourself a break. Be patient with yourself. Try to be organized as much as you can, but there will be delays within your day-to-day overall. And you need to be kinder to yourself, patient with yourself. Take care of your health. If there's something you've been putting off when it comes to your health, do take care of it. You could even feel unwell during this time of the Mercury retrograde, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Mental anxiety, concerns, worry, stress, keeping you up late at night. This is where you're suffering with the anxiety, or you might even notice that you have just physically drained by overexerting yourself and you need some time out to invest in rejuvenation. When it comes to your day-to-day routine, like I said, be patient with yourself. Don't rush anything. Don't act impulsively. You could even feel like you're just going through the motions in your day-to-day. Like, oh my goodness, I was supposed to do this at 1 o'clock and it's now 3 p.m. I missed so much of time. Try as much as you can to stick to a schedule. This will help with productivity, and you might just be feeling an overall sense of lack of productivity. Mercury retrograde for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And if you'd like to get my guidebook, there is a link down below where I talk about Mercury retrograde through all the signs and how it will influence you as Mercury retrograde in 2025 and 2026, as well as a link to book a Mercury retrograde reading. Scorpio, Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries from the 15th until 29th. This is you feeling angry and frustrated with co-workers, your day-to-day life, your work environment. You might feel like you have a lack of productivity, things are moving slower. If you're looking for a job, this can be a hell of frustrating. So if you're seeking a job or you're seeking a project you want to get into, oh, you feel so frustrated by it. This is because Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Aries. You are ruled by Mars, and Aries is ruled by Mars. So this is very much a time where you're feeling just, I can't get going. I can't move forward. I feel so stuck. I feel so hindered. I feel hindered in my job. I feel hindered in my career. I feel hindered. These co-workers, oh my God, they are so frustrating and aggravating. Healthy boundaries is a must for your day-to-day life and productivity. Make sure that you try to stick to a schedule, but you will come across delays within your day-to-day life. It's like you were supposed to leave at 8 a.m. but now you're leaving here at 10 a.m. Things come up that disrupt your day-to-day routine, and this can aggravate you even further. Because it's your day-to-day, you could also come up with tensions, aggravations within your day-to-day, just feeling tense, feeling irritable, and people pressing all the wrong buttons. Now, do take care of your health. You can go back to an old health plan that you have, but make sure that you're taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical health, because health comes up into review during this time. Mercury retrograde in Pisces, 29th of March until the 7th of April. This is going to bring back excess into your life because Mercury is retrograde inside Pisces, and Pisces rules over your romantic life, romantic connections. You could notice excess coming back, right? Back into your life. This is asking you to review these relationships. You could even have someone, that you knew from childhood also come back into your life, because it's childhood, children. This is also the area of life that rules over romantic relationships. So if you're in a romantic relationship, this is where tensions arise when it comes to communication, miscommunication, misunderstandings, conflicts. Hurt feelings is a big thing here. This is where people are touching on base sensitive topics and hurting each other's feelings. Great for you to go on a date to a place that you previously have to rekindle things. So if you're looking to rekindle passion, go on a date to some place that you have a memory, or you might just randomly do that. This is taking you to past places that you've dated. Childhood memories come back. You might even visit a place from your childhood. If you have children, you could notice tensions and conflicts with children. Healthy boundaries is a must, and just don't don't be, because Mercury is retrograde, when I say healthy boundaries, watch our communication, watch our listening, how we're expressing ourselves. We are not in a place where we're trying to emotionally wound others, because you can emotionally wound others with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and others can wound you too. You can also get information about your dating and romantic life that gives you clarity about how you can move forward. This can also be breakups within your romantic or dating life. This is where you decide, I don't know if this is what I want anymore. Breakups do happen during Mercury retrograde, but make sure that if you're breaking up with someone, you're doing it from a place where you truly, truly are in tune with yourself. You're not acting impulsively. You're not going to rehearse this and review it and question it. So make sure you are sure it's something you've thought about for a while. Yes. So great time for you to get back into creative hobbies, creative passions. If you're an entrepreneur and you run your own business, tap into creative energies that you used when it came to your entrepreneur business. You could be questioning your entrepreneur business and the direction that you wish to take and how you can navigate this moving forward. So look back and ask yourself, review this, revisit it, see the ideas that you have, and is it worth it? How are you going to move forward? Mercury retrograde is always a time to review things. So we review these areas of life. We relook at them when it comes to entrepreneurship, romantic, and children for you, and how you can shift the way you think about these things to handle them better in the future. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, Mercury retrograde in Aries for you is going to influence your romantic life. So exes can come back into your life. People you dated previously can come back into your life. Tensions and conflicts within your romantic life can come back. If you have children, you could also notice tension and conflicts with your children, around your children, especially if you're negotiating like custody or who gets what at this time, time spent. That becomes tension. So tension and conflicts around children or even with children. You could go to a place that you visited previously, like from your childhood. People from your childhood might reemerge as well. This is great for picking up all creative hobbies and passions that you previously were working on. You can now, get your hands messy and play with them again. This is a time where you can also review your fun, your joy, and passion. So you might even tap into something previously that was a hobby that gave you joy or passion. You could bring it back into your life. Now, Mercury retrograde in the area of Pisces from the 29th of March until 7th of April. This is going to influence your home, your family. This is where you can notice tensions within your home or family. This is where miscommunication, misunderstandings, things that were left buried and haven't been said within your family can come back to the surface. This can be tensions within your domestic life, anyone that you share space with or live with. This can be like you reviewing your lease agreement, and asking yourself, did I get what I deserve within this? Is it fair? This is where you are reviewing basically your emotional connections. You could be feeling very emotional, sensitive, tired, needing some time alone at home. You want rest, you want comfort, you want a good meal. You are needing that time out from the world. This influences family. So lots of miscommunication, misunderstandings within family, tensions within family, things that haven't been healed now asked to be reviewed and healed and let go of. Or even putting an end, deciding to move home, putting an end to a certain situation, deciding to move to a different place or do something completely differently within your life. That is what you are looking at. But if you're making any decisions at this time, make sure it's something you thought about a long time ago. It's not something that's just coming up out of nowhere. Then it's impulsive Mercury energy. Now, we need to also look at the fact that you could be also thinking about childhood, as in your parents' home. You could even be going to a place that maybe was connected to your ancestors or connected to your family. All family members can re-enter into your life, Sagittarius. So a family member you haven't seen a long time can now re-enter into your life. Like, hey, how are you doing? That can be really great for that type of energy. This is where you're questioning your emotions a lot, right? The emotions that you have within your heart, and is an emotional release for you. You could even be verbalizing the emotions that you kept within your heart and now you're wanting to let it go. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, Capricorn, this Mercury retrograde is influencing the first part in Aries from the 15th of March until 29th. Your home and family. Because it's in the sign of Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. This is where it is intense. Family matters are aggressive, tense, hidden arguments that maybe someone didn't want you to know about within the family now come to light. This is where you can get some family tea. This is where you can get some family drama. This is where you can get some family, there's a lot of family commotion. Anything that family have buried in terms of anger now wants to resurface. There's lots of miscommunication, misunderstanding with family. If you need to move home or changing home, make sure you read and reread your lease agreement. You could also be thinking and reviewing your home and living situation. You're asking yourself what boundaries you need to keep within your life in terms of family and emotional guarding yourself so that they are not crossing your boundaries and putting you in a place of frustration that you are lashing out. You could even feel the need to lash out emotionally because Mars is retrograde in the sign of Aries. Aries is that fire that we, shoot out of ourselves when we are angry. We just spew that fire. You could be having heated words with family members, heated discussions, and you're feeling also this need to defend your home, protect yourself, like to protect your emotional self. You need to. Boundaries is necessary. Anyone living within your domestic situation could be influenced by this energy as well. The aggression, the tension, it could come from you or from other people. During this time, you could see family members you haven't seen in a long time re-enter into your life. Someone you share an emotional bond with. Someone who has come and visited your home previously might also re-enter your life. This is also a moment in time where you might even go to some place linked to family that you haven't visited in a long time. Now you're going right back there. Mercury Retrograde in the sign of Pisces. Now this will be from the 29th of March until 7th of April. And this is going to influence your communication, your thoughts, your self-expression. You are under a mental fog. You can't think straight. You just feel like you're just overwhelmed. And this is because of the first half of the Mercury Retrograde, which is just so much of frustration, anger, and pent-up energy that need to be released, that by this point you're just overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed by all of the drama and the tea, and you're just needing some time out. Great for creativity, tapping into all creative things that you've been working on. It's a time where you might even reflect on deep wounds, like something that's wounded you a long time ago. You're now sharing it with someone, letting them know, or sharing with someone else for healing. Watch out for, you could get lots of people from the past texting you, emailing you, wanting to start a conversation with you. Check your vehicle whilst traveling. You could have, travel difficulties when it comes to your vehicle, short distance trips, your errands, the day-to-day like errand things that you're doing. You could notice that there's delays when you need to run errands. So be aware of that. So take a break if need be, especially mentally, because you're so mentally overwhelmed at this point and you're on a go slow as it is. So take a break. You need that rest. You need that rejuvenation. You need that time out to yourself. Now, you also could be revisiting old conversations within your head. What did this person say? What did I say? How's it affected me emotionally? People might be coming to you and sharing how what you said previously has made them feel. So watch for that. This is you looking back at the things that you said and how the impact it has on people emotionally. You could also be needing some time out. Like you just feel like, oh, I need that. You could also have miscommunication with neighbors, tensions with neighbors, or even tensions with siblings. Okay? This is the influence of like miscommunication, misunderstandings with siblings. Aquarius Sun, Moon, and Rising. Mercury Retrograde and you. Mercury Retrograde in the sign of Aries. From the 15th of March until the 29th of March. This part is fiery, verbal, combative. This is where people want to verbally argue with you. This is where you are even feeling that way, like you also want to verbally say something. To not act impulsively on verbalizing things. Gossip can come to light. Things that people have been saying behind your back can come to light at this time. This could also bring up tensions within siblings and neighbors as well. So tensions, conflicts with neighbors. You could also notice that just in your day-to-day environment, you're just feeling frustrated, aggravated, because it also rolls over your environment. If you need to travel, make sure that you check your plans, you have the time and energy to get there, so forth. And you also are taking account your vehicle, because you could have like your vehicle breakdown or vehicles breaking down around you, accidents. Make sure, especially here, because Mercury is retrograde in sign of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is impulsivity. And this is the area that rules over cars, vehicles, transportation. So make sure that you check all those things. Even if you have to travel further, Make sure you check everything. This is where you could miss the details, miss the appointments, miss the information. People are wanting to text you, communicate with you, express themselves to you, hearing back from this person you haven't heard from in a while, you know. You because it is communication, everyone's open to communicate with you. So you could have an ex come back, you could have an ex or someone else come back. It's just communication that wants to come your way, where people want to say what they didn't say. There's also a time where you could get information about others that you didn't expect to get. And this gives you clarity. Healthy boundaries is a must. Do not overly... I would say the biggest thing that's keeping you stuck is all resentment and anger, which is mentally keeping you in a loop. You got to release that to mentally free yourself, Aquarius. Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces. This is going to influence your income, your money, and your spending. This is going to really show you when it comes to financial matters, like something you didn't pay might come back, or you might need to make a purchase that is pricier. Budget and save prior. This is also a time when it comes to finances, you would be going through a more challenging time with finances. If you need to purchase anything big, read and reread if it's something that needs you to sign. Well, most things need us to sign off eventually. So be aware of that. Watch out for your purchases. Watch out for overspending. Watch your spending. Okay, from the 29th of March until April 7th. Spending is a big must. You could also find yourself spending on things that you previously used to spend on. You'll also be reevaluating your values, your money, and your income. Budgets are necessary for you. So that's Mercury retrograde in a nutshell for you. If you'd like to check down below, there is a guidebook of Mercury retrograde throughout the signs. Hello, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Mercury retrograde in your sign. I do have a guidebook linked down below, especially for you because this Mercury retrograde is so intense and the North Node's in Pisces, right? So this Mercury retrograde is like a Mercury retrograde on steroids, because when we have the North Node, it gives us that Mars energy. It wants to move forward, with gusto. So it's a Mercury retrograde on steroids, and it's happening for you this, during this time. So let's get into Mercury first retrograde in the sign of Aries. Okay, Mercury retrograde in Aries from the 15th of March until 29th. Whew, you're needing some time out. You're just so exhausted, tired, burnt out. People from the past you haven't seen in a long time re-enter. People you've shared an emotional connection to. People who've also victimized you can come back into your life. It's like memories of those people can come back. Trust your intuition. Your intuition is awakened at this time. It's great for meditation, spiritual practices, time out, isolation. You could also be feeling abandoned, emotionally left to your own devices. This is a time where you are feeling like, I'm isolated. And there's also things that you are ending in your life at this time. You may even review certain endings, like that relationship you walked away from, that job you walked away from, the things that you changed that you were doing for a long time, you now review it. Things from the past come back into your life, old bills, anything that basically you thought you put to bed comes back to review. Anger. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You are an emotional person and you can get emotionally irritable, but Pisces don't really like to show anger, and when they do, it's like it's fire and water, babe. Said fire and water. It's like that old. It's like oil, on fire on the ocean, and there's fire. Yes, that's what it is. It's just raging, and it feels like any old resentments that you've been angry and frustrated about want to come out. Let it out. You do need to go through this clearing and ending of sorts, because you need to see what you need to see so that you can finally be free. This also gives you a lot of truth about hidden enemies. People have been working behind the scenes against you come to light. Mercury retrograde in Sign Pisces from the 29th of March until 7th of April 2025. Oh, Pisces, is happening in your sign. It's your sense of self. So you come into question. People are questioning you, telling you, how are you behaving? How are you acting? You're too emotional. You're too sensitive. You share your feelings too often. This is you. You feel like the world is testing you at this moment in time. Miscommunication with others. Exes can re-enter into your life because Mercury is retrograde in your sign. So anyone from the past wants to say hello. This is also Think of it because Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Pisces, not known in Pisces, steroids, right? This is a Mercury retrograde on steroids. It just wants to just, you know, even though it's in Pisces and we generally feel so exhausted and burnt out, and we will feel that, but there's a sense of like, this Mercury retrograde in Pisces is closing out chapters for destiny to awaken within my life. And you start feeling that. Or if you're not feeling that, remember it. Because the things that you're closing out, because you will be closing out things. Mercury retrogrades do mean endings. We review things, we gain clarity, and we decide to move on. We just need to make sure that we're very clear about the details. And when we move on during a Mercury retrograde, we sometimes revisit it over the next Mercury retrograde to make sure. That's why sometimes it's not advised to end things, but we do sometimes feel like walking away from things. And because this is with the North Node of destiny in yourself, you feel a sense of walking away from situations where you have martyred yourself, sacrificed yourself, given too much of yourself to people and situations. It can be a job, it can be your home, it can be your family. You can ask, where have I sacrificed my happiness, my shine for everyone else, and what do I have left? I'm drained. You be very aware of what's draining you, what's like just taking everything from you. Like I said, this Mercury retrograde in your sign brings secrets to light, hidden enemies to light. This influences all areas of your life because it's happening in your sign. So all goals, all ambitions, everything that drives you, you're reviewing it, re-looking at it. You might pick up things from the past that you previously did. And like I said, people from the past can come back into your life. You might go back to an old goal, an old dream that you had. But it's definitely a time where you're closing out cycles, ending cycles, letting go of things that we've been holding on emotionally for far too long, and you're just willing to like clear it out. And it's important that you do so because North Node is in Pisces, and that's influencing destiny. It's showing us that these things are destined to happen so that we can move forward and have the best fresh start going forward. Mercury retrograde and the signs most influenced in March until April. These signs are, because Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Aries, it's going to influence Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, as they're all cardinal signs, as well as the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Do check where you have these placements within your chart, because this Mercury retrograde will be influencing you going forward and also helping you make changes and to review things. Mercury retrograde is a time out. It's not time to act. It's a time of revision, reviewing, and ending cycles. Mercury retrograde gives us a perspective to review things and how we've previously acted, responded, and felt emotionally. So during the Mercury retrograde, we can complete the cycle of where we feel things weren't going in the direction that we wanted them to, so we can close the door and walk into something new.